Hello, I'm Tony Maeda, and I would like to welcome you to a very special conversation with a very special guest, the incomparable Lucie Arnaz. Lucie, thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
We're going to talk about a series which is very special to so many Lucie fans out there, of course, the first season of The Lucie Show. And it's special for you, I believe, for a professional reason. Did you make your professional TV debut on the series?
I did. I was 11, I think, if memory serves, and I had a couple lines. I played Cynthia. Cynthia, and I was a soda jerk.
Most people make their professional debuts in community theater. Summer Stock, you're making your debut on the #1 rated comedy on television.
At our house, this was community theater. This was family theater, you know. The family worked over there, and if you were a shoemaker or a plumber and you had a design to sort of maybe go into that business, maybe your shoemaker father or your plumber uncle might take you to work one day and give you something to do, you know, and that was sort of their way of giving me something to do. Let's give her that, see if she's...
Is that something you wanted to do? Did you push for that?
I was 11. Who knew?
You didn't know?
What I wanted to do. I wanted to date Ralph Hart. That's what I wanted to do. I didn't know what date was, but I knew that I wanted to be with Ralph Hart.
We heard some rumors about that.
Oh, good kisser. He was such a good kisser. Oh, my gosh. For a 12-year-old. Later on, compared to other people, maybe not so much, but at 12, under the bleachers,
good to know.
Fabulous. Yeah, so I did that job, and then I got a little bit older, and in the next season or so, I got a chance to do a couple more as Cynthia. See, Candy Moore played my mother's daughter on that show, and I was playing her friend. I was a girlfriend of Candy's, who was, Chris was her name. If I look at that now, I get hysterical, because I had long hair, and I pulled my hair back into a ponytail. I remember, and I had cut-off bangs, like really sharp like that. And I remember looking at myself in the mirror in the makeup room just before I went on, and I thought, oh, I look like 16. I looked like 7, you know.
Well, they did have you playing older quite a bit when you were on there. I mean, you were 11.
Because what 11-year-old would be working in a soda
that's true. I guess there'd be some
shop.
problems there, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Do you remember that first week of filming? I know you were. I know I'm putting you to the test. You were 10, 11. But do you remember what the atmosphere was like? Was there a lot of excitement in the air?
You know, I wish I could say that I remember that. I somewhere in my brain, I just remember being really nervous. You know, because I had to catch the sodas. They had a big, long soda counter, and she slid the sodas all the way down, and I had to catch them and put them on the tray, and that's all I thought about all week was not dropping the soda.
We knew your props, which was a big...
We rehearsed. Yes, I knew my props. I rehearsed with my props. Made sure the glasses were not, wet.
Yes.
So it would have been really bad.
You worked with them.
And I had I had to carry the sodas over on the tray and do my little lines and it was a small part, but I did it right. I did it well.
What was it like to go to work with Mom and then work with Mom? Was she Mom on the set, or was there a definite change and she was the boss?
You know, she was the boss at home too, so it was more like the boss at home, and then I went, oh, this is what that's why she's like this at home, because this is what she does.
This is her job.
This is what she does. Now I feel comfortable when I'm at home, because I realize that's who she is. Both, she was a taskmaster and a perfectionist and always right. So it wasn't, if you're going to have somebody be a taskmaster and make you do things, at least make them be right. And she didn't, you know what, I think it was good, though, because she didn't want it to ever seem like I gave this kid something to do and she's just going to be able to come in here and fool around. She made sure that whenever Desi and I were on the show, we gave us little parts that we were really, professional.
Doing something else.
Yeah, and it was fun. It was really fun. The whole family on that set was always just so much fun.
You made a return appearance as Cynthia. Lucie as a chaperone.
I did. That was really fun. I do. Yeah, it was a whole group of kids, and Viv and Lucie had to chaperone them all, Candy and all her friends. And I remember that they had all these really famous kids, like teenagers who were famous in that day. Eddie Hodges, who was the original kid in Music Man on Broadway, and Don Grady.
Yes.
Don Grady. Oh yeah, he was like the big hunk. And they shot right next door. Remember that? That's why he was cool having him on that. And then that same week that we did that, I had this running gag in the show, which was very Valley Girl. Look at even just doing that now. I think it's before there were Valley Girls. She was going, "No phone, I'll die. I'll really die.
Oh, no phone, I'll die. I'll really die."
It was like stupid. So we had a Jell-O commercial that Vivian and Candy Moore and I did that week, and I shot my first commercial that week for Jell-O pudding, pie filling. And somehow they worked that line into it. Something about no Jell-O pudding and pie filling, I'll die. I'll really die.
Do you get residuals from those?
I never got paid. See, that's the downside of being a family
when it's your family business.
Just use the kids. They're here.
That's exactly it.
I didn't get paid. I don't get residuals. It's great schooling, and why not?
No.
They just Why not? Well, I can think of a million reasons why not.
Well, listen,
Actually,
it's a
now
family business, you know.
think of all the really great actresses that studied really hard and were starving in Hollywood, sitting there going, good, fine. She got that part.
That was a very specific school you were at, though. I mean,
It was.
very, very good training.
It was very, very good training.
Yes.
I had to unlearn a lot of stuff later on because not everything is like a 3-camera film shoot.
Sure.
You know, it isn't always that you can't move while you talk. You know, so don't walk on the line. You know, that's not always true in other businesses. No, so you break those habits. But it was great training, and the best training was the people that we worked with, the other guest stars. First of all, my mother's there, and Vivian Vance is there. Hello, Gail Gordon. They're like the 3 best actor people, comedy, and believable, so believable all the time that if you didn't do what they were doing, you know, it would be very obvious very quickly that you're being fake. So you're setting the bar very high when you work with those people.
Well, let me ask you. You bring up Vivian Vance and Gail Gordon. Of course, one of the reasons this season is so special to Lucie fans is the great interplay between Lucie Carmichael and Vivian Bagley, between your mother and Vivian Vance. Obviously, it's almost like a continuation of I Love Lucy.
Yeah.
And I know that Vivian Vance was a great mentor of yours. If that's the right word. Can you tell us a little bit about what Vivian inspired in you and what Vivian suggested or counseled you with?
Viv knew that I really enjoyed theater. I mean, for me, working on my mother's show was just more theater. But when I would go home, I had a little stage in my backyard, and I always was putting on plays. I never really thought about going into film. I wasn't where my heart was at somehow. I mean, my mother's show was filmed, but it felt like a theater piece to me. But we rehearsed it, and we had a studio audience, and we did it from beginning to end. We didn't stop and do things out of context like they do in movies and one-camera shows, you know. And when I picked my high school, because it had a great theater department, and Vivian just always encouraged me to keep doing that so that I could go there one day. And even later when we were on the Here's Lucy show, that's really when she began mentoring me, not just the Lucy show. But she would guest star on the Here's Lucy show from time to time, and she would come and say, so what do you do on your hiatuses? You know, are you getting back to the theater? And I went, well, no, they're only, you know, 4 weeks, something like that. I usually just go on vacation somewhere. She goes, girl, I said, don't you get typecast as some sitcom performer all your life and never be able to get back on the stage. I thought, what are you talking about? I mean, you're you know, Ethel Mertz.
Yeah.
Oh.
You're Ethel Mertz.
You're Ethel Mertz, like for your whole life. I get it. I see. And she came from the theater. You know, Vivian came from doing dramatic parts as well as comedy parts. I found her doing Voice of the Turtle in San Diego. And she was absolutely right. So I did immediately, you know, started auditioning for summer stock and got into the theater again. And
your mother relied a lot on Vivian's instincts, didn't she? Especially once your dad was off the series. Isn't her theatrical instinct something that your mother respected greatly?
Absolutely. Well, she always said, you know, you could throw anything at Viv and she'd, you know, hit it right back out of the park. And always, again, just very believably. You know, you never saw Vivian playing for the joke, always. She always played the straight. Well, she was supposed to be a straight man to my mother's comedy, but in comedy, everybody's a straight man. If you do it right. None of it is, you know, ha, 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 here comes the joke.
Good comedy.
Yeah, good comedy. It's not like that.
Yes.
And Viv was just brilliant about that. You watch her, you learn everything. You know, between the two of them, that's it. That's school.
Wow. When your father was executive producer, what was the atmosphere like on the set? If you remember, if you were there that first season, can you get any kind of feeling about it? I have a feeling it was loving family type relationship. Your stepfather was there too, as well, wasn't he?
He was. Gary. My mother was married to Gary Morton, and Gary was there, not a lot, but he would come down when they would do the shows, and he did the warm-ups, as I recall. And my father was still producing, and so my father was on and off the set a lot. It was strange. I wasn't in that show, so I wasn't there all the time. I would come down to watch the tapings, or like the couple of weeks that I was actually doing a part on the show. But I kind of remember that it was strange, too, to have them be divorced and him still be there and Gary being around. And I think after a while it just got a little too strange.
Sure, yeah.
But they were very professional about it always. And my father really loved my mother and especially loved her talent and wanted to see that the next show got launched properly, you know. I mean, he's the one that bought the rights to that show. I think it was
Life Without George.
Life Without George. I mean, my father, Desi Lou, put all the money behind Wildcat.
Yes.
I just found that out. I didn't even know that was true.
With the backers, yes.
The entire backing for the Broadway show was Desi Lou. So,
well, you know, that in the love, even though he's not there physically, can really be seen, and particularly in the first season. You get the sense of a loving launch of the series, and it's such a wonderful, as we said before, continuation of I Love Lucy in its own way. And then when you later on appeared in the later episodes, and then of course you were with your mother as a supporting actress in Here's Lucy later on. What was it like to go to work every day? I mean, she was your boss. She was the head.
Oh my God, I just loved it. It was the best job ever, and I thought all of television was going to be like that. But, you go Monday morning, you don't have to be there till 10, you read, you have fabulous fun read, and then you read the next show, and you meet all the guest stars, then you go to lunch, and then you go down to the set, and you block the show, and oh my God, it's 6 o'clock, we get to go home, that's fabulous. And then the next day you come in, and you do a little blocking, and you get up on your feet, and the 6 o'clock time you go. Wednesday, same thing, cameras, dress rehearsal, you go home. Thursday, cameras, dress rehearsal, big audience comes in, you do the show, they have a band, they play, they music, you take bows, everybody laughing. You were at the restaurant by 9 o'clock. And then every 4 weeks, you got to take a vacation for like 2 weeks. It was the best job I ever had. 6 years of just going to school, kind of, and learning my craft and having fun and learning. I learned how to tap dance. I learned how to hula. I learned how to ride dressage because they would just shove these things that you're going to do that next week.
Well, there were a lot of musical numbers.
We did like 7 or 8 musical numbers every single year. So it was a little bit like being a musical theater,
One which you were in a pickle. Both of you were
well, that was one of the smaller, easier musical numbers. I prefer to think of the large dance numbers.
Yes. You mentioned the orchestra. The show had an orchestra. The Lucie show. There was a
live
orchestra.
band, because that's a holdover from my dad as well. He always had to have the orchestra on the I Love Lucy shows, even if they weren't in the show, would play the
playouts.
Yeah, they would be over there, and they would always play for the audiences and everything, just for the warm up and to keep people entertained during the show.
Did you ever sing between?
No, I wouldn't even get up and bow. As a kid, I was terrified. I was the most shy, bashful kid you ever saw. My brother would stand right up, and they would introduce us in the bleachers in the audience, and he would take this cute little bow, and then they would go, and my daughter, and I'd be gone. And it was like, where'd she go? And I would be gone. I would be hiding under the seats. I would never.
Really? Wow.
Don't know what happened. I just, I didn't. My brother could play the drums when he was 3. He could surf when he was 4. I said, I have no talent. I can't do anything. I don't know how to do that. I don't have to play an instrument. So I thought, you don't stand up to take a bow unless you do something. Why am I being introduced? I still feel like that. Don't introduce me because I'm just your daughter.
Well,
still gets me.
You've had an amazing career since then.
Thank you.
Some wonderful.
Thank you.
Some wonderful.
Sometimes you just got to learn to crawl out from under the bleachers.
It's pretty amazing to think about your heritage, your father being a force in creating the 3-camera technique, studio audience. I mean, all this stuff, none of this done before I Love Lucy, and then carrying it through the years.
Right.
And how does it feel to be in that heritage with those 2 people who were such pioneers?
Yeah, I don't even know that feeling is something I can describe. Because it didn't happen to me in midlife where suddenly I felt this way and then something happens and then you can really put your hands on a feeling because it's different from what you were feeling, When you grow up with something, that's just what is. It's just what is. And so I don't have a moment when I remember thinking about it, except when I try to put it in perspective now, I'm just, there's no word other than extraordinary pride. Yeah. That he was smart enough to say, I don't know, let's figure out how to do this. It's like, I don't know all the answers, but I know the right people to ask, and I'm a good leader, and I'm smart, and I'm going to ask all the right questions, and I'm tenacious, and I have a good sense of humor, and I'm charming, I'm a good diplomat. They don't have to have all the answers. They just have to know how to organize things and make sure that you get where you need to go.
And have the people around them.
And he hired the best people. He just hired great people.
And speaking of the best people, how about any memories of your mother running this? I mean, the first woman to run a major television. Actually, the first studio since Mary Pickford. And then you have Lucie Ball running Desi Lou, which was
she hated
tremendous. Did she really hate it?
She hated it.
She hated it.
She really did, and she'll be the first to tell you. She would say, I hated it. I did not want to have to be responsible for all that. She fell into it. They bought me. My father took his piece and left. She had to buy him out.
Which happened during the Lucie show.
It happened during the Lucie show. It was the right thing to do at the time. And he had hired all these brilliant suits, if you will, to run the joint, and she just really let them do it and trusted them. There was a lot of very smart people to help her. But still, the buck fell to her on certain big decisions, and she had to be the one to say yes or no. And she said yes for some really good stuff.
Some really good stuff.
Star Trek, Mission Impossible,
Mannix. That's fantastic.
Yeah, no, don't cut that. I like that show. Yeah, that's good. That was good.
Keep it on.
That was really good. And but she didn't like the business end of it. She really just wanted to go down there and be funny and do her show.
She wanted to play.
It was hard work just getting those scripts right every week. And what do you think? It drove my father nuts trying to be the actor and the producer and the studio head and the father and the husband. Something's got to give.
It's got to be pretty amazing when you think about the fact that she was running a studio and then she'd have to be on set and get some seltzer in her face or get locked in a vault with Gail Gordon.
Then go to a stockholders meeting.
Go to a stockholders meeting, exactly. And the dichotomy, I think, fascinates people.
Yeah. Well, she was good at it. Some people, say the first woman to run it. She did it very well. She did it with grace and charm.
She certainly did.
She's smart, but she didn't enjoy it. That wasn't what she wouldn't have chosen to do that. So she said, don't give me too much credit for having done that because there's a lot of people who do it a lot better than I did.
It makes people realize that anything is possible. I mean, look at everything that she accomplished in her career and your father as well. And look what they left us.
I don't ever try to analyze how it went that way. The business end of it was that they got divorced and they had enough I Love Lucy shows to just stop that one. And start another one, and she stopped that one when it was 6 seasons in, and in those days it was enough for syndication, so either I quit or I crank up another one, which is why Here's Lucy went on the air, and then there were 6 seasons of that, and she was like, all right, enough already. And then there was Life with Lucy, and now there's Afterlife with Lucy. It's on Channel 9. certain areas.
Your mother had some superstitions about working, and I think one of the most fascinating ones is about the character's name.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, she had to pick names, and they picked Ricardo for Lucy Ricardo, Lucy Enrique Ricardo, and they picked it because she felt that her life turned around for the better once she married my father, and his name was Arnaz, so they wanted the AR. So they picked a name that had an AR in it, and then the second series, she was Carmichael, and then the third, she was Carter, and even Life with Lucy, she was Barker.
Barker, the
so
AR.
the AR was always supposed to be very, very...
Yeah. When she met Carol Cook, didn't she suggest that Carol Cook change her name
Change
to
her
Carol?
name,
Because of the
Carol with an
AR,
E.
yeah.
She wanted her to be a great comedian like Carol Lombard.
Was a great
You know
friend.
everything.
Your mother was a great friend of Carol Lombard.
She adored her. She had great respect for her as a comedian and as a person, and she loved her very much. And she was devastated when she was killed. And she even said that she had little visions. Well, Carol came to her a few times.
isn't there a story about that? Do you remember that story?
Just that she told her to go for it for television.
amazing.
That she didn't know whether to, leave movies and go into this new little medium of television because it was like tacky. Don't do that. Your career will be over. She went, "What career? I'm Queen of the Bees." And that Carol Lombard appeared to her in a dream and said, "Go for it, kid," something like that. And that's why she did it.
I know I am, and I know everybody out there watching this is very grateful that your mother had that dream.
That's
and,
right.
Made her make the leap into I Love Lucy and the Lucy Show, which we're talking about right now. And here's Lucy. So thank you so much.
You're absolutely welcome.
For this.
Thanks,
This has
Tony.
been a great experience for me.
It's fun. It's fun to remember all those fun
good.
shows. It's a good time.